And now for our Your Health segment, joining us is Dr. Stephen Davis, chairman of the psychiatry department at the Baltimore Washington Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
This is supposed to be a time of great joy and cheer, that time of year, but it turns out to be a time of stress and even depression for many people. What do you see in your practice?
So this is a time of year where there's a lot of expectations that we have on ourselves and on other people. Expectations about gift giving, about whether Aunt Sally's going to make her famous pecan pie this year. But we can't always live up to those expectations, and that's one of the, I think, the challenges is when families come together for the holidays is meeting everybody's expectations. Invariably, they're not all met, and sometimes old wounds get opened and old dynamics get played out. You're not 7, 8, 9-year-old siblings anymore, but sometimes bringing the family together brings out some of those dynamics, unfortunately. Is
the winter blues a real thing? I mean, in your practice, if you have people that you've followed for a long period of time, is there a seasonality to how they're feeling?
Some people are much more affected by seasons than others. Those that are affected to a large degree by the amount of light. So the days are shorter. The sun is set lower, so it's more of an oblique light, so it's not as strong. And our brain is set to have this annual rhythm, circadian rhythm, that keeps track of what month it is, essentially. And what happens is that as there's less light, then you become less sensitive to it. Your brain makes something called melatonin, and the sensitivity of that part of the brain releasing melatonin goes down. As a result, you get a little dysregulated, and some people are just more sensitive to that, and it affects their sleep, it affects their mood, it affects their irritability.
I do look forward to the time of year when the days start to get longer and we have more daylight and you can get out more. And part of it is that yes, the sun's shining, but it's cold and people stay in a bit more. There are some therapies for that. Have you seen any of that work?
Oh, absolutely. There are light boxes that you can buy. They actually have them now in a kind of a little visor that deliver a certain light intensity. What you want to look for is 10,000 lux. Lux is a measure of light intensity. So that's the strength it needs to be, about 20 minutes in the morning. But frankly, going out for a walk around the block for 20 minutes can do pretty much the same thing. But especially up in the northern climates, you may not want to walk around through slush and so forth. So that's the other thing that goes down in the wintertime is exercise. We don't get enough of it, and we all know that exercise also is something that helps with mood.
On the stress that comes from expectations and needing to buy a lot of things for a lot of people, prepare that pecan pie for a lot of people, how do you deal with that?
I think one thing to do is to try to set those expectations for your friends, for your family, and say, you know what, I'm still recovering with that broken leg. I'm not going to mess with that pecan pie this year. And just kind of set those expectations. Some of the challenges, especially with mixed families, is whose house are we having the holiday meal with? And well, last time it was, Dad's house, so now we're going to go to Mom's because they're split up. And this can sometimes be a source of a lot of stress and sometimes arguments. So talking about that ahead of time can be really helpful. I think some people just kind of go along, and then only when they're in the midst of the situation do they realize that, they're really disappointed in me, and then you start to feel bad. And sometimes you'll turn to ways to cope with that. So alcohol is one thing that people turn to, especially during the holidays, that cup of holiday cheer, but sometimes that can go a little bit overboard.
Sounds like for many people, a lot of these stressors are relieved the morning after the holiday. We turn the page, we're into the new year. How do you know if it's becoming a problem that you need to seek help for? Mm-hmm. Going from winter blues and annoyance into depression, something that you can't escape?
Yeah. So the difference between what I've heard called as winter blues and clinical depression is that with the blues, you can rally. So something good happens and you can enjoy it, as opposed to when you have a depression, the things that normally would give you joy, you just can't get anything out of. So that's one of the differences. Obviously, if you start to find that you are having trouble functioning at work, you can't get your work done, or school, studying, you can't focus, can't concentrate, those are signs that maybe this is more of a depression. And certainly, if you start to get to the point where you're starting to have thoughts of maybe life just isn't worth living, that's definitely a warning sign, a dangerous sign to get help.
All right, Dr. Stephen Davis, thank you for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jeff.